FM News Talk 97.1.
On-demand audio.
It's good to talk with you. I know that you were in my home state of Missouri just yesterday, and now you're making your way towards Nevada, and I don't even know how many states that you have to hit in the next few days. Your schedules.
I was in Minnesota last night. I'm out in Colorado, and I'm heading to Nevada this afternoon, and then back to Colorado tonight.
Well, fantastic. Well, we really appreciate your time, and it's just this primary seems to be more contentious than any other primary. And granted, I've only been old enough to vote in the last three elections, the general elections, but this primary seems more contentious than the past three that I remember. And I'm glad to see you in this race, and I'm one of those people who's leaning towards a non-Romney. I've been looking at Newt Gingrich, and I've been looking at you because I think you present a really nice alternative to what we have, and you have family values as a priority, and many people, including myself, we think that, the lack of attention to that is really what is troubling this country. And there's the question from some people as to whether the election is going to turn into like a circa 1990s family values election during the time when the biggest weapon we have right now against President Obama is the economy. How do you assuage the concerns of those voters?
Well, I would just say this, when I talk about family values, I talk about it in the context of the economy. So I go out and obviously yesterday when I was in St. Charles Community College, I gave a 40-minute talk on the economy and talked about our plans to get the economy going and to reduce the budget deficit, and in particular what we're going to do to spur the manufacturing sector of the economy, and how St. Charles Community College and other community colleges and technical schools can fill in that void with the worker training to be able to help those who have been left behind by this economy. They have the opportunity to rise in society. So my message has always been a very strong pro-growth, supply-side economics, but focused on making sure that we have. I think the Wall Street Journal put it best when they reviewed my economic plan. They said supply-side economics for the working man, and that's pretty much what I am. I'm a guy who grew up in Steeltown in Pittsburgh and outside of Pittsburgh, and my grandfather was a coal miner, and so it's sort of my roots. And my roots are also that we understood that stable families make for a stronger economy. Two-parent families in America, which is slowly and steadily falling almost to the point where it's not even the majority of families now. That is a critical part of the economic success of America. The men and women coming together and being married and having those stable marriages provides actually a stronger basis for our economy. If you look at the poverty rate among two-parent families, it's 8% in America. Among single-parent families, it's 40%. So if you want to talk about strong economies, you've got to talk about the role that family plays in that economy.
Oh, absolutely. I completely agree with that. And that's something that hasn't been given a lot of attention, especially in that context as well. And that's one of the things I like about your candidacy. And I fiercely have defended, where you stand on faith and family, and that something that I hear from a lot of people who are still torn on what non-Romney they're going to go for, is that your record in the Senate hasn't been always that easy to approach as your steadfast position on faith and family. As one of those grassroots voters, I loved when, and I don't think this was the Florida debate, I think this was the South Carolina debate, when you expressed regret over supporting the No Child Left Behind Act.
Yeah.
And I know that this is a hard question to ask before Florida, but do you feel the same way about your past support for Medicare Part D, or where you've stood in the past on right to work?
Well, just Newt Gingrich supported No Child Left Behind and Medicare Part D.
Mm-hmm.
Just if you're trying to choose between the two of us, I've said that No Child Left Behind was a mistake and would repeal it. I did also say that and Newt, by the way, defended Medicare Part D and his support for it. I think there's a lot, and this was a tough call for me at the time. It's a tough call for me now. There was some very good things in Medicare Part D with private sector healthcare reforms like health savings accounts, which I worked hard to get in that bill. And there was a lot of other reforms to the Medicare program. There was the Part D program has come in 42% under budget, which no entitlement program. Why? Because it's a private sector run healthcare program that is government paid for, but private sector run. And it is, in fact, the model for the Ryan plan that is being put forward in Medicare. So there's a lot of good things in there, and we did need a prescription drug component to Medicare. My big problem with the Medicare prescription drug bill is it wasn't paid for. And What I've said is that we need to pay for the Medicare prescription drug bill. We need to make sure that that bill does not add to the deficit, and we need to come up with savings within the Medicare program to offset those costs for Medicare prescription drugs.
Would you support right to work if you become the presidential nominee for the Republican Party? Would you support right to work as part of your platform?
I did. I actually signed a pledge to National Right to Work. They asked me that question. I said I would. There was only one vote in 16 years in Congress on right to work, and it was a vote to basically repeal right to work in the federal government, which would have had the effect of changing the law in my state from the federal level. And I just felt that my state, which has been solidly not right to work, and that I shouldn't go to Washington, D.C. in representing that state and pass a law that would have a fundamental effect on my state that's different than what my state's desire was.
Right. And the last debate, the Florida debate, by the way, I thought you won the debate in Florida. You were, that was the most, I think, aggressive I've seen you in a debate. And I don't know if you had consulted with someone before, but it was great.
No, I don't do debate prep. I don't have any experts come in and tell me what to say and how to say it. We just go out and try to do my best to be as authentic as I can, and hopefully that's coming through now that I have a little bit more time at these debates to get a word in or two.
Right. Well, what you did this last debate, which not even the moderators have done, and the other candidates, quite frankly, your opponents in the primary haven't really done to the degree that you did in the debate, was when you were questioning Mitt Romney on his health care mandate. Is there a fear? Because I know what some grassroots think, but do you have a fear that a candidate like Mitt Romney would sort of invalidate the conservative fight to repeal Obamacare, since he ultimately championed and passed the blueprint for it?
I think, candidly, both Speaker Gingrich and Mitt Romney undermine our ability to repeal Obamacare, undermine our ability to make a contrast in winning the election based on this issue. Not only was Romney's plan in Massachusetts the basis for Obamacare, Speaker Gingrich for 20 years he supported the individual mandate. He supported government being able to tell people that they have to purchase insurance as a condition of breathing. And that, again, undermines our ability to go after Obama on the most important issue in this election, because Obamacare isn't just a piece of legislation that's destroying the economy and that will drive up health care costs and take choices away from you, but it is a fundamental game changer for freedom in America. And if we can't go out and say we have candidates who oppose big government and top-down solutions to problems like Obamacare, and like Gingrich and Romney together, who supported the Wall Street bailout, which I did not,
right,
or their support of cap and trade. I mean, I in a non-Romney, but it's not a non-Romney. I mean, the reason Gingrich and Romney are fighting so much between the two of them over personal matters is because on policy, on the big policy issues, they don't disagree, but they're on the wrong side of it from a conservative.
Right. There have been some that have been watching this primary very closely and still kind of sitting on the fence, and they've expressed some doubt at your ability to present a challenge to either Romney or Gingrich if one of them takes the other out politically. If you emerge as the non-establishment candidate, do you have the ground game? Do you have what it takes to compete when we get into multi-state primaries? And what do you say to those people to assure them of your viability?
I raised as much money in the month of January as Newt Gingrich did. We had a better ground game in Iowa. That's why we were able to win Iowa. As you saw, I beat him in New Hampshire, even though I didn't get, at the time, it wasn't even known that I had won Iowa. And South Carolina was a state that he was able to pick up a lot of votes because, he had some very good debate performances, and I think he should take Juan Williams and John King out to dinner for allowing him to have those two debate moments. But you're not going to get those moments.
Right.
That's not going to win the debate against Barack Obama. Beating up on the media isn't going to win the debate. It's not going to get independent voters. It's not going to get it's not going to get conservative Democrats. You have to have policies. You have to have principles and character. Those are the things that are going to get the voters that we need if we're going to win this election, and not sound bites beating up on John King and Juan Williams. So
right.
I would just say that look at someone who's going to be the alternative to Mitt Romney, and that person is going to get a lot of conservative support. And look what happened. Gingrich had a huge win in South Carolina, a huge amount of money. Someone gave him $5 million in a super PAC. They spent it all down in Florida, and he's going to lose. that should tell you something. That should tell you that, he's not the best guy to take on Mitt Romney. The entire campaign was about Newt Gingrich's failings as a person and as a leader in the House of Representatives. They can't run that campaign against me. They've got to talk about the issues. And sure, have I made mistakes? Fine, but it's not going to be a personal assault. It's going to be my issues against Mitt Romney's issues, and I'll take that battle anytime. If
you become the nominee and you were looking at a VP, would you consider either of them as your vice president?
I'm not making any promises about anybody on anything. I'm just trying to.
Right.
I think we have an excellent chance of being the nominee. I really do. I wouldn't be in this race right now if I didn't think we had it. I like our position right now. I think this race is going to come toward us as people look at these two candidates, and as flawed as they are on the issues and their own their own personal backgrounds and how that doesn't necessarily match up well for a general election, and they're going to look at someone who's going to make Barack Obama the issue in this race, and that's what I can do. Last question I have for you. I know you have to get going. How, as president, would you work to heal the rift between the conservative grassroots and the Republican Party? I'm a Republican who's a conservative grassroots guy. I think I'm the perfect person. I come from the grassroots. I was not the country club Republican choice of the money people in the state of Pennsylvania. We built a grassroots effort to win my House race again, to win re-election in a 60% Democratic district against a 14-year incumbent. Nobody else wanted to run. I was given no money, but I was able, with ideas and hard work, to be able to overcome that and win. And I got redistricted into a district that was 70% Democrat, and again, won an impossible seat. Defeated a Democratic incumbent to win the Senate race, not necessarily supported by the establishment class. Why? Because I was a reformer. I was a conservative firebrand in Pennsylvania that no one had ever been elected as a conservative firebrand in Pennsylvania prior to me. So we blazed a lot of paths, and I think we can blaze another path here to bring the Tea Party and the conservative movement and the Republican Party together in a way that's going to be very powerful to take on Barack Obama. Well, Senator Santorum, I really appreciate your time. I also appreciated your remarks in that last debate about how our rights come from God, not from man. That was a highlight for me. So thanks so much for your time. I know you're really busy, and we're going to keep watching your trajectory in these primaries. Well, hopefully you'll do what Michelle Malkin's done, and David Limbaugh and others who have stepped up and said Santorum's our guy. We could use your help. Well, I appreciate it. I think I'm making my decision, and I tell you, you're one of the ones I'm leaning towards. You're one of the non-Romney crowd. So, here's what I would just say. I would just say, don't let the pundits and the pollsters of who can win and who can lose, don't let that make the decision. They said the same thing about Ronald Reagan, and they were wrong. Oh, no, I don't. I don't. Contrast. We need a bold conservative. Don't settle for less than what America needs. Well, I appreciate your time, Senator Santorum, and hopefully I'll see you at CPAC or talk to you again soon. Thank you so much. All right, take care. All right, folks, back after this. It's the Dana Show. Your call's coming up, 866-455-9797.